This story is from the 25th of September 25. It's actually the 27th today. It's Saturday. And Keir Starners going to bring in ID cards. And there's been a big kerfuffle about this. And I know the right are dead against it, like Reform, Robert Jenrick, I think, etc. Tories, probably Advance UK as well. Personally, I'm not so much against it because we already live in a police state anyway, if that's what you're thinking, because we already have facial recognition, CCTV everywhere, police lists, which the left parties love. These have sort of come about over the last 10, 15 years, say 15 years, including a hate list, and probably this might include people who maybe in the past have praised Reform or joined Reform as a member, that sort of thing, joined UKIP or whatever. They might be on a hate list. There's various levels you can probably get at. And then anytime you go to, say, an interview from an employer, they'll be able to see this, or maybe from the public sector, if you go to hospital or something. And then we've also got automatic number plate registration. You'll see some of them tell you about this, like garages and things, but they've also got them supermarkets. Every time you go to supermarkets, your plate's taken. Some of them tell you as you come in. They'll have a big camera. And if you're not on a list, it's meant to get cleared right away. But who knows, And we've also got police cameras on key roads. A lot of people see cameras now that look a bit like speed cameras, but they're much smaller. They maybe think, oh, this is a new generation of speed cameras, but it's actually police cameras, and again, it's taking your number plate. I don't know if they do facial recognition as well. They possibly do. Possibly to take video of the camera, of the people, even if it's not got facial recognition. And again, if you're on a list, that'll be kept. If you're not, the theory is it'll just go straight away. But then if you're on a list, how do you get off? How do you find out you're on a list? Most of these lists people don't know they're on. So we've got all this already, all this Big Brother stuff, and a lot of it's been brought in by the left, in my opinion, because they think it's good. Because the way the police are thinking, they're thinking, we want to film almost anyone, everyone, please let us. And then they'll have these quangos things with the politicians. Probably a lot of the politicians will be woke who are on that. The police will be going, and can we have this sort of list? We can expand it, this sort of thing. And they'll be like, yes, okay, yes. Especially if it's, well, who knows, maybe if it's women, So we've already got it really badly, and I think Aspire are going to do away with the hate list. I know that, Aspire UK. I think Reform are going to do away with that as well, because a lot of them are probably going to be people on the right politically. I mean, Nigel himself, it was only 2 years ago, he's about to become the Prime Minister, supposedly in 4 years' time, but I think there'll probably be a general election before then because Labour's got so little support, both in the general election they just won, and it just shows up that we've got a very undemocratic electoral system actually that they won, because they only won in a third of 59% of voters, so they hardly had anyone even when they won in a landslide. Yeah, so all this. So a lot of people on the right are probably on these hate lists, non-crime hate lists, and because the police are very, very woke, and it takes a long time for them to come back to however the country is politically. And Liz Truss was just saying that partly it's because these police things are like fiefdoms, where you get promoted. She reckons we should be able to fire the police chief constable. I think you can do that in London actually, but yeah, because I mean the London one, I've got no confidence in him at all. Not because he's lying to Palestine, I'll just go ahead, because I think that's right. Because of the things he said woke-wise, which I think is just ridiculous. Yeah, so, yeah, and the other thing is, like, we already need photo ID for things like welfare. I think for anything to do with welfare, including pensions, if you're wanting to claim a pension or whatever, you need photo ID. That's either really a passport, a driving licence with a photo, or one of these UK ID cards that you voluntarily went for, because there's one or two that you can go for. And if you not get a, you might not get pension or whatever. Usually, what they do is they'll call you in. You'll need to go in with proof. I think you need your birth certificate and things like that. So if you don't get your birth certificate, you might be actually totally done for. So, uh, and also if you want to go for a bank, you need photo ID, that passport, driving license with a photo, that sort of thing. And even just an online bookies. They've made it so strict now, the government, that even for online bookies, this is all to do with fraud and things, so fair enough. But it's almost impossible at the moment for someone without these sort of IDs, because a lot of the poor, it affects the poor because they've not got passports or driving license or photo driving licenses, you know. So personally, I think, okay, a UK ID card, I mean, you could take that to elections. You need ID for elections now, and you could use it for electronic voting, possibly. So I can see the positives of it, as long as you don't have to carry it around. I mean, I don't agree with that. You know, if you have to carry it around, I mean, a lot of countries do this already, but my point is that we're already living in a big, out of control Big Brother state anyway. It's Putinesque, and it's the politicians on Quangos and the Quango group itself. Because back to that hate list thing, I think one of the things that Prevent says is people might be hateful if they think that British natives are going to be a minority over the next, are going to become a minority. I mean, that's just ridiculous, really. I mean, that being on a hate list, because we're not even able to use logic now. That's how crazy those things have got. So who's making that up? What Quango is making that up? We've got all these Quangos. I think Reform and Advance are going to do away with a lot of these Quangos. These Quangos were well-meaning when they were founded, but they've got totally out of control, especially woke-wise. So my view for the moment is neutral. And also just thinking of the online bill, which has just come through, in effect. One of the things I've done is, say if you go to some sites, you might need to do a facial scan so they can estimate your age. Well, that's not too bad in my opinion. So the online bill so far hasn't turned out as bad as I thought. Although I've just heard of a few Twitter people that have got arrested, and I'm very sceptical about it, So I'm wondering if this is the police now putting their woke hat on and getting out of control, because we're getting mixed messages at the moment. YouTube are letting people back. Tommy just got his YouTube back about 3 weeks ago. He just had well, it looked like 1 million people to me, 1 million people march. And this has sort of been a thing that's changed people's view of, well, woke is post-woke now, we're swinging away from it. Because really, wokery was a sort of Putinesque uh, fear thing. It was really a Stasi police with Keir leading it. And the other thing about this is, because Keir's bringing it in, it seems harsh because of Keir Starners seems a harsh person. To me, he's the most unlikable Prime Minister ever. I mean, he's the first one that I've disliked, really. Uh, I found ones very incompetent in the past. I mean, all the recent ones, Rishi, Liz Truss, I think she never got a chance, really. But Boris Johnson, especially, with his Boris waves, and Theresa May, terrible, So we've got all that going on. So I'm just going to look at it anyway. Oh yeah, and I meant to say that there's also antisocial lists that you can be on. So, I mean, everyone that's a bit weird or got a bit of Asperger's, there's a good chance you're going to end up in one of these lists. And then everyone at supermarkets or hospitals or anything to do with the public sector or even the private sector, even depending on how many they tell you, you're going to end up in these lists, and everyone in the public sector is going to know, and you might never find out, and you can't get off the list either. It's up to them how you go off the list. And there's also a private list for FaceWatch, which is supermarkets, shops, etc., shopping malls, probably garages, etc. They've got a private thing that they're allowed to do, and the official line is that you'll be off that after a year. But I would guess that a security guard will probably go, he's only got a day left on this, I'm going to just put him on it again for another year. So the face watch thing as well, you've got all that. And as somebody said in the Daily Mail, somebody's doing a campaign against it. But as some shop worker said, loads of people are on these lists, but most of them we don't do anything about. We've just to know they're on a list. I mean, you're talking about maybe, you know, and that's a private one as well. That's face watch. You can Google that one up. Anyway, I'm just looking at the Labour ID card. So mandatory for work. I mean, if you're going to work in the UK, I would have thought you need a national insurance card. You've already got things. So I don't know how it really helps with that. But if it does help with thinging that, yeah, I'm in favour of it. Then, like I say, personally, I don't think it really matters, considering all the other Big Brother stuff that's gone out on behind closed doors that people don't know about. You know, it is ironic because you'll have these politicians in Coango saying, yeah, anti-social list, hate list, all sorts of lists. Yeah, police, let the police thing in them. And then their children will be at university and they'll be having debates about we mustn't let Big Brother get out of control, but it's already out of control through the back door, really. The police have just went to Coango and said we'd like to create this list and we'd like to put these people on it. Especially, I think, especially the females will say, yes, of course, yeah. Especially lefty ones. You know, a tool against illegal working, digital format. Uh, One thing I don't like about this is if you're hacked or something, then probably. But then, if you're hacked already, it's probably lots of ways they've got you anyway, so it doesn't really matter. In a way, I might be able to capture them easier because this is a government thing, so the way we look at that. Secure, verifiable, digital, stored on a smartphone. What about all the old people that haven't got smartphones? You know, I think for welfare now, you really need a smartphone, or you need the internet at least. And for the NHS, even it's getting that way. Well, down in England, because we haven't got an app up Scotland. It's a total shambles up here. Access to services, yeah. Government services, yeah. Fair enough. Not required to be carried. Okay, that's okay with me then. Or present it on demand by authorities, but it would be mandatory to show it to prospective players. Well, that's alright with me then. I think I'm wavering more towards it now. I'm at 60, 65 out of 100, 70. Free and accessible. It'd be free, okay. That's another thing. How are they going to do this? You know, do you have to go somewhere because it's stressful? You know, but you need to do that for a passport anyway. But also planning consultation to ensure accessibility for those who do not own a smartphone or low digital skills, likely by offering a physical card option. Okay. Oh yeah, there was a poll about it. I want to show you that before. Key points of the debate. Civil liberties. Well, I don't know. Effective against immigration. Well, anything that helps with that. Uh, well, I'll see. Security concerns. Yeah, there's a cost and implementation. I just want to show you the poll. Yeah, I'll show the poll on Stats for Lefties, a magnificent channel on X for these polls. Yeah, but it's a poll as it says here. But when you look at it, support, 42% support, 45% oppose. So that's, I thought it was going to be a lot more the way people are making a big thing. Because there's a petition just now for the government petitions, which I think everyone should use. It's around about 1.5 million. I've done the one against digital ID. So Labour, 51% support. Tories, 50% support from the Tories. So there you go. Reform, 22%. So they're pretty big on it. 69% against. Lib Dems, 49%. And I think they always go on about privacy of ID and stuff, so it's a bit of a joke. Their supporters to me support it. So that's the way I'm thinking as well, I mean, let's see. But I'm not totally against it because we've already got a ton of Big Brother stuff that should be sort of dampened down for sure, yeah. Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff that's even worse, that's my point. So for this, I'm not totally, in fact, I'm swinging more in favour of it. Okay, that's all I've got to say. I've got to make it this under 15 minutes. Bye.